So, leading up to that, it happened all very quickly. Just the launch and the whole year last year, and we thought the launch was going to come, I think in November, and then we pushed it back, again and then again, and then eventually launched. What is really the story, from the inside, of the Sunday Swap launch? I'm sure that must have been stressful.
Yeah. So um, we were like a very new company, right? Like most companies have like a year or two to get their feet under them before they start getting the attention and the kind of community base that we got. And so we were still figuring out our planning processes and things like that. And so we made some projections about like when we might launch, and we tried to couch those in like, hey, this is super like tentative. And what we learned after that was that a community that large, as through no fault of their own, has very little capacity for nuance, have very little um, patience just collectively for, hey, this might change, right? Or this might be uncertain. And so what we started shifting towards is a policy of, let's stop trying to give dates and let's focus on instead what we've accomplished, right? And so this started being, oh, here's the demo we gave on Dan CCV's channel. Here's the testnet that we launched. Focus on those deliverables rather than focusing on trying to project out a roadmap. This, has been less than popular, but it's a decision that we feel that we had to make and have to kind of continue to make, just because until we, have a lot of more maturity in terms of predicting the roadmaps of things, right? I have a long computer science career, but like what I discovered is that almost none of it is useful for predicting crypto timelines, because all of the tech is new and it's all, we're building on the bleeding edge of Cardano. And so it was just this constant kind of slew of, to some extent, it felt like we were like programming in assembly and we were optimizing byte for byte these smart contracts to get them within the size limit and things like that.
When you guys are also working with IOG, so a part of that limitation, wasn't your own or time. It was also, pure technical limitations from the chain itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there was some really crazy moments. So like I remember early on when we were trying to kind of secure investing, and in particular C Fund, we were talking to C Fund, and they said, we're feeling pretty confident, but we don't have the technical chops to evaluate you. And so I want you to meet with another one of our portfolio companies. He'll interview you, and he'll kind of tell us what to think. And so that person turned out to be Nico, the person who had called us out on Twitter very early on.
It's a great start.
Yeah, instantly, sweat beads on my forehead.
Yeah.
And it turns out Nico lives in Austin, and our CTO lives in Austin. And so they scheduled basically time to meet up the next day. And I was like, if this is what it's going to take to make Sundae Swap happen, so I need to be there. And so I got on a plane with 4 hours notice and flew to Austin and met with Nico. He's incredibly nice. Had a really great conversation with him. Really defended some of our ideas and, told him about the scooper model, and which we hadn't even revealed to the public at that time. Didn't have answers for all of his questions. He still had some things that we were like, yeah, I guess, how are you going to solve that? That we ended up figuring out later. But I think he really appreciated the fact that I was, able to defend strongly our own design, and was also able to admit and acknowledge the kind of areas that there were still gaps that we had to figure out. And so, ultimately he ended up recommending us to C Fund, and but it was a crazy call to my girlfriend of, hey, you want to go to Austin? And hopping on a plane, with no
especially
notice.
To meet Nico. I've seen Nico grill some projects, and people really do appreciate that, though, when you're honest about what you don't know. I've really always tried to hold that motto on my YouTube channel, especially the AMAs, because I'll get a lot of questions, and if I don't know, I don't know, and people really do give you a lot of respect for that.
Yeah. And then, in August, we went to the Cardano Summit, met you there. It was great meeting you. And that was actually the first time that we met up in person as a leadership team. So I sent you over some great pictures of, I hired a photographer to kind of capture that moment. We went and got ice cream together, and it was like just a cute moment. So we have some good like co-founder shots of me, Matt, Mateen, and Artem, and in the whole summit, like I just kept meeting people that were excited by what we were doing and that were inspired by what we were doing. That was just really uplifting for the project. But in the background, I'm also like in the hotel room trying to, because we were like days away from trying to feature freeze for the audit. And so like frantically trying to help Edmund at the time, our smart contract developer, fit the pieces together so that we could kind of finalize the contracts, even though there was a lot on top of the contracts that had to be built. If we could finalize the contracts themselves, we could start the audit. And that was one of the kind of things that we missed. We just really misestimated how long it was going to take to feature freeze our contracts so that we could start the audit. So that was another kind of crazy moment for the team. And I mean, the whole kind of year was just filled with them from the testnet up through launch.
Yeah, definitely some memorable times for me as well. And I really enjoyed meeting you at the summit. We grabbed lunch, and then I also got to meet the whole team, Matt and Mateen, and even because Kyle hosted the after party too, and I got to see you guys there, and it really was awesome. And I agree with you about the inspiration. Having people come up to you and realizing that these Twitter accounts or Discord messages are actually real people. It's really nice. It's very inspiring. And when you just work on the computer all day with your team, you really do need that inspiration. And that's honestly that event, and also the Bitcoin conference, meeting you and everyone else. That's really what led to the Rare Bloom, the event that I'm hosting later this year, because I realized that we needed, that inspiration as a community, and also a place for, Sundae Swap to have a booth as well, people to actually have projects, and also add a bit of, networking and, business value there as well, because while the Wyoming Summit was incredible, meeting you and everyone else, there was really no way to have a business presence there as well.
Yeah, it was very like, IOG centric, right? Which is great. They're the ones putting on that event, but it was less about the community, right? That kind of just happened at the edges. So I'm really excited about Rare Bloom. Looking forward to those ice sculptures again.
Yeah, we'll need some. We need some Sundae too. I joked with Mateen the other day. I was like, we could have a Sundae after party. Everybody could get ice cream. Should be pretty cool.
Nice.